Yeah, so I'm going to repeat. Good morning, everybody. Today we're working on chapter 11, which is working with navigation, which are basically different kinds of links that you can create for your website. And there are several different kinds that we will work with today. And we'll also work with using text as a means for linking and images as a means for linking to different pages and email links and all sorts of stuff. So that's principally what we'll be working with today. But what wasn't working for me the other day, I wanted to finish that. And that was when we were working with images, that if you wanted to import, for example, a Photoshop image directly into your file, you can't do that without first converting it to a JPEG, but you can edit it later in Photoshop. And for whatever reason, when I was trying to save it, because I had the empty or the layer that was turned off, trying to, it was the one that was selected, it wasn't saving it. So let me go ahead and give this a whirl. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring that Photoshop file of Lynn back in here. So to do that, if I want to insert, using a variety of ways of doing that. If I wanted to click here and insert an image, okay, I would want to do it, nest it in here. So that's going to nest that, and it's going to bring me to my image folder. So that doesn't help me. The one that I have that I want to bring in is a Photoshop file. So that's not going to work for me. So what I have to do instead would be, I could, with that selected here, okay, I could go to my files, and instead I could go ahead and mine is in the resource file. Here's Lynn's Photoshop file right here. If I double click on that, it takes me to her image. Okay, this is what I want to insert. So let me go back and let me try again. Let me go ahead and take this image, and I want to go ahead and insert it. So if I go back to insert, and I want to insert image, and I'm going to go ahead and nest it. But I'm going to go outside of that image folder, and I'm going to go into I copied the folder, the resource folder right here. And I want to bring in the Photoshop file. And if I click open, notice what I get, a little dialog box that says, do you want to convert it to a JPEG, GIF, or PNG? Well, I'm going to go with JPEG. And I click OK. And it converts it, and it will automatically save it in your root folder. Now, I already have a Lynn JPEG, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll save and I'll replace it with this one. Okay. And it brings in that much larger image that I had from before. So now I can do a couple of things we had to do before. Remember, we need to add the class here. We had float left, right? Okay, so that automatically floats. We can resize it from here. And again, you never want to enlarge it. You want to always just reduce it, and you want to make sure that the height and the width are linked to one another so you don't distort the image in any way. So now it's the correct size, but I don't like that red background. We did some Photoshop work on it, so we want to change it. So to do that, we need to go from live view to design view. And now if I right click on it, all right, and I say edit with original with Photoshop, it should take it to Photoshop. And you can see that I have multiple layers in here. So here's this layer that I have with a layer mask that has a much friendlier background that looks kind of nice. Now, if I go ahead and I just hit Command S to save it, okay, and now I go back to here. This hasn't changed yet, but if I right click on it, I should be able to go ahead and I want to update from original. If I do that, now notice it changes. There are other programs that do a much better job of this. Like if you've ever worked in print and you've worked in InDesign, it recognizes that you have changed a file, and it will say that you basically have a broken link. So if you're planning on publishing it in any form, it's not going to work properly. So you have to find that link and then just simply say refresh or update it. But it does warn you. It won't really do that in Dreamweaver because HTML is open source. It's not protected by any particular copyright or anything. So again, it goes back to my original belief, or my belief that I've touted for a while now, that I don't like editing images inside Dreamweaver because they are destructive. I prefer just to simply go into Photoshop, prepare all of my images, save them in my image folder, and then if I do need to change them, simply go back to Photoshop, open the file, save it as a JPEG, GIF, or PNG, and then update the file. And it will automatically update it when I overwrite it, and then we'll be in good shape. Okay, so that's that. That was the only thing that I wanted to review. And then remember, this guy was a TIFF file, but again, TIFFs are for print. You can't bring those in directly either. You have to save it as a JPEG, GIF, or PNG. So what we're doing today, I'm going to go back to what do I want to bring in here? How about contact us? There we go. I'll bring in the contact us, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go back to live view here. So what we want to do is we want to preview what this is going to look like in our final version. And I want to talk about, so what I'm going to do here, different ways of different kinds of links. So I want to go into our finished versions here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close the contact us for a moment. And I'm going to open up the finished contact us just for the heck of it. Okay, so that is what is open. Now, to see how this works when all of these links are done, you need to have it, you need to preview it in a browser. So what we can do is I'm using Firefox by Mozilla at the moment. But if I go to File and I go to Real-Time Preview, you generally have these three options. You could also use Opera and a number of others. But I'm going to go ahead and use Firefox. Okay, so here is, and I'm going to go ahead and bring it down into here. And now that it's in this finished version is in Firefox, we can try out all the different links because we've created all the separate pages up to this point, but they've been just that, they've been separate. So if you were to upload those to your provider, your host, you wouldn't be able to click on any of these navigation buttons and go from page to page. But right now, for example, if I go to Green News, notice that it opens that up. So in our nav bar, we have those links that are created. What we will probably do on Thursday or either a week from today, depending on how fast we go through all of this, is we're going to insert a drop-down menu. And this gets a little tricky. Okay, so we can go to either one of these that we created in here. Okay, and we can also go ahead and we can create an internal link here that goes, it says go to top. That's one of the things that we're going to do. So of these two tables that we created in here, we can, really target them specifically. We can go to class schedule, which jumps down to the bottom, or we can go from here and we go to the top one. And then within that page, we can jump from the top to the bottom. So these, we're going to add the drop-down menu. And again, we can now go to green tips. Here's back to contact us, about us. Some of these have not been inserted yet. So if we go to green travel, there's nothing. That hasn't been created yet. That's in lesson 12. And the same with the homepage. And if you recall, homepage is index.html. We don't have one of those. So those are two of the links don't work, but all the rest work. Then in addition to that, so all of these, there are a number of different kinds of links that we can create. There are relative links and there are absolute links. The links that are created inside of any page or any element inside your root folder are relative links. Any links that you create that are external or that lie outside of your website or just that are external links, and they have to be applied differently. So, for example, if I go back to contact us, you'll notice down here in the second paragraph, right below contact Meridian Green Star, we have a link that says Meridian. And if I click on there, it takes us to a Google map. Well, that's an external link. And how you apply that link is slightly different. Okay, so that is an absolute link. It's not a relative link. Okay, and also notice that it opened in a brand new window. So that would be another thing. You can create targets. That's another thing that we're going to do. So we also have emails. Now, my email is set up for Google. It's not set up for the one that we have here built into my computer. But depending on how your computer is set up, when this works, when you click on it, it will open up the create a new email from your email, whatever email that you've established. But if it's in a browser, then that won't work. So that's one of the other things that we'll do. Okay, so let's start by creating the links in our nav bar up here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this up here. And I'm going to open up, if it isn't already opened, because these are locked in here. Okay, this is our Dreamweaver template, because remember, if it's contained within the asides or it's in the main content, we can edit those from any page. But what we want to do is we want to make our links up here in our nav bar permanent, and then later we're going to make turn this green star into a link as well. So to do that, you have to have the Dreamweaver template open, because that, what we did when we created templates was a locked region. And by default, when we change all of these links and save it, it should automatically update all of the pages that we have created. And with any luck, when I do it today, it will work. We'll see. So right now I'm in live view, but I'm going to switch to design view. Okay. And now what I need to do is I need to highlight the text. Now, I don't have a home page, so I'm not going to do that one yet. But I do want to do green news. So if I highlight this like so, and I come down to, I'm going to go ahead and pull the properties panel off like so. You'll notice in the properties panel, we have a link, and the placeholder is the octothorpe or the pound sign or the hashtag or whatever you want to call it. And what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate that octothorpe. And then what I can do is that's green news. I want to link it to the green news page. So here's the green news page. So I can do that a couple of different ways. I like using the target here, like we did with the photographs, how I showed you the other day. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, and hopefully that will work. And let's see if it works. Green news. So now if I highlight this again, and you'll notice it is now linked to green news. So that's one way of doing it. The next one, I'm going to go ahead and before we add that drop down, I'm going to add this one to green events. So let's go ahead and click on the folder instead. But I don't want to do that from green news. I got to make sure that green events is highlighted now. You want to make sure that you highlight all of just the text, and that's it. So I'll go ahead and I'll click on the folder. It should take me to my root folder, which it does. So now I want to make sure that I select the green events page. So let's go ahead, and here's the green events page, and I want to go ahead and open that link, and you'll see that it is a relative link. So it's for an absolute link, you need the HTTP : or HTTPS : // and then the link. But for an internal link, you just need a link to that file. And that's what we're doing right now. So we don't have green travel yet, so I won't use that, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight green tips. And again, I need to make sure that I get rid of that Octothorpe. And I'm going to go back here because while I was talking, I may have forgotten to do that. And it's gone. So that's good news. So I'm going to go back here again. And let me undo for a second. Let's bring that back. I'm going to highlight green tips. Okay, and down here, I'm going to remove the Octothorpe. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to go to green tips. And I'm going to point to that page. And if I come back to it, okay, if we go back to that, we'll notice that if I click back in here, that it does have that link. And then we'll do contact us and about us. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll save it. And I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that it automatically updates all of the pages, which is when you modify anything in a template, what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to go ahead and select the contact us. And that links that. About us. And again, remove the Octothorpe. The Octothorpe is just, for right now, a placeholder. So I'm going to go ahead and select about us. So that links. So now I can go back from design view to live view. And I'm still in my template, and I'm going to hit Command S to save. And this is what I wanted to see. Okay. These are all the pages that have been created from that template. And it's asking you, do you want to update the pages? And even though those pages may not be open, it will update all of the pages. Update all of the pages, and the nav bars will be just as we see it here in the template. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click update. Okay. And it updates them all. And I can now go ahead and I can close. Okay, so now when I open up any of those pages, I should be good to go. So let's try one of them and see. So one of the ones that we do want to do is change is the contact us page. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open that one up a little bit. So I'll go ahead and open up that page. This is the one that we just had. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to preview it in the browser. And all of these links should work. When you click on any of them and you look inside the browser, you'll see the link at the bottom, typically, especially Chrome. But I'm going to go ahead and with this page selected, I'm going to go ahead and go to File. And I'm going to select Preview, Real-Time Preview in Firefox. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and bring this down here. And this is the one that it wasn't open before. But now when we click on green news, that works. When I go to green events, notice that this one, because this wasn't the finished file, doesn't have the drop-down menu yet. That's something that we'll add on another day. We don't have green travel yet, but we do have green tips. We have contact us. And we do have about us. So now all of these links have been updated. And if we were to and one of the things that you do have to remember is that when you update and publish your pages, that you have to republish all of them to update the current links that you've created. Now you don't publish the template. You have to republish all of these pages that you created. So that can be kind of a test or kind of a nuisance sometimes. So all of these so far have been internal links, okay, or relative links. Now, if we want, we can create an external link. So for example, under Meridian here, I can create a link for that. Now I just want to highlight the text. And I can do that from up here. See where the little chain is? I can put in that I have put in an external link. Well, they want us to put in a Google map. But because I don't have one specified, I guess I could. We could put in Cerritos, something of that nature. So why don't I do, let me go ahead and do that. So it's close to what we're doing here. So I'm going to put in, I'm going to go ahead and copy a link here. Let's go to Google Maps. Okay. And I'll put in Cerritos. Okay. Okay. So this will be our link. So this is where we want the person to go. Okay. So what we can do is we can go ahead and these are the, we can, copy the directions. We can also come down here and with this in here, since we're in here, I'm going to go ahead and go up to the top of the browser here. And here is our absolute link. There should be an abbreviated one here for me. So I want to make sure, I'm just going to do this one for right now. I want to make sure that the whole thing is selected. Or I could use my personal homepage. Let's just try that one instead, because that will be a shorter link. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight Meridian again. And because this is an external link, it needs to be an absolute link. So I need to put in http:// and I'll put in kmart66.com. So this will go to my page, okay? And we'll go ahead and tab key, and it's changed. And you'll notice that when I hover over it, I get the default selection for a link that it highlights. It's underscored and underlined. So that's one of the things that we can do. Okay, so let's test that and see what we do. I'm going to go ahead and save the page. Okay, so that page is saved. And I'll go ahead and I'll preview it and let's see, preview it in Firefox. Okay, bring it down like so. And you'll see that Meridian is by default, it's changed colors, and we hover over it, we get the link, and when I click, it jumps to my page, which is what it's supposed to do. And that would have done the same for the Google Maps. But notice what it did. It replaced the page on my website with, meaning on the website that we've been creating in our lessons with mine. I don't want to do that. What I want to do instead is that I want to target a new tab. And this is it's my recommendation, but it's strongly recommended by web developers in general, is that when you link or create a link to an external website, and that has to be an absolute link, that rather than have it replaced, because that's the default, replace the existing page with the new page that you've linked to, that you create a target of a blank so that it opens up a brand new tab. So that, I don't know if you've ever been to a website where in fact you have been kind of just reading along and following these links. And it's kind of like following breadcrumbs. And before you know it, you're no longer on the website that you originally went to. You're on some totally different place. and you can't figure out how to get back to the other one. Well, that's by that happening by replacing it. So if I highlight this again, okay, and what I want to do is I want to look in the properties panel. You see the link down here. Here's the here's the absolute link with the HTTP. Now you also have to pay attention that, like when you're using your free Wix website, that is HTTPS, so that's secured server. So that you need to make sure that you know which that you're applying it to. But what I want to look at right here is over on the right side, the target. And if I click on here for target, what I want is blank. And you should take note of how that changes inside the code view. So if I highlight this, again, if I highlight Meridian, like so, here's Meridian, but notice what we have here. We have an href, okay, which means that it's a link, and here's the link to my personal website. And what we've done is we've added this target blank, and that's will be very different. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go ahead and do that again. Let's go ahead and once it's saved, I can go ahead and I'm going to preview this in the browser. I'm going to put this back in here real quick. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and file, and I'm going to preview in Firefox again. Okay. And we'll bring that down. Now, when I click on this link, watch what happens, because right now, here's the tab in the upper right-hand corner for Meridian. But when I go ahead and I click on it, notice that it opened up a brand new tab. So I can always click back to the original tab to say, oh, this is the website that I was on. But by clicking on that link, it took me over here to my website or to Google Maps or wherever you want it to be. But it's a page that is not contained inside your root folder. That's the key. Okie doke. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope. So one of the next things that we want to do is we're going to create what are called email links. And it's easiest if you kind of remember this and do it, add the code yourself inside the properties panel. I think that's just how I've done it for so long, but you can insert an email link. So to do that, for example, if I want to take this text here and I highlight it and I want to insert that as an email link, then what you can do is you can either go to, I can go ahead and I can bring that properties panel back up. And because this is a little bit different kind of link for email, what you type in here is mail to, that's all one word, colon, and then you put in the email address. So in this particular case, it would be info at greenstart.org. Okay. Now the text itself does not have to match the link to the email, but that's in essence what we're doing. So when I click on that, and you'll notice that when you hover over that, it looks different now. It's the same, has the same appearance as that Meridian look here, but it is in fact different. And again, publish it. And as I said, my email is connected, is only connected in a browser, but if yours is connected to your local Safari or whatever email account that you have here on your computer, it will automatically open it up. Okay, so another way to do that, let me undo that. But again, you have to highlight the text again. It could be an image too, so that's what we're going to do next. It doesn't have to be text. You want to make sure that you grab the whole thing, not more, not less, but all of that text. And with it highlighted, what you want to do is you want to then maybe go to insert, okay? And we go to HTML, and what we want to do is we want to insert an email link. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to nest it in here. And it wants to know the text. Now, I already highlighted that, but if I didn't, I could have used something different, like if I want to go to green start. So let's type in green start. And then you put in the email address here. And it's already going to, you'll notice in the properties panel, it will add the mail to. So I'm going to put in my email address, just, Kirk Miller Art at gmail.com. Okay, and when I click OK, notice that where my cursor was, it will insert it right there where that was highlighted. Email, green start. So you don't need to see the email address itself. It can be whatever you want. But notice down here, it's not going to go to green start. It's going to go to me. And again, it's that mail to : and it has my email address. So you can do that for any text. So we can come down here, email Elaine at, and here it is here. You don't need to put the at. You could go ahead and you could just say email Elaine, and you could highlight Elaine, just as I did for green start here. And it would, when you click on it in the browser, it would take you there. Now we could use her image. That can also be an email link. So again, here's the link. And this one you don't have to, because it will open up a new email file. You don't have to put a target for that. So again, I could put in here, again, email, and again, I could put in the link would be mail to, or it could be, this could be target another page. It doesn't have to be an email. You can target any external page. So if I wanted to email again, or not email, but if I wanted to target a map, I could do that, or again, any external page. Maybe she has her own personal website there, but we're doing emails at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and that's mail to, and again, I'll put, Kirk Miller Art at gmail.com. Here we go. Okay. Now, the only difference you will notice with her, okay, is that if we were to go ahead and save this, because you don't notice any difference right now. When you click on it, though, and you look, no, it didn't save it. Oh, it didn't save the link. Okay, let me try again. Mail to : Kirk Miller Art at gmail.com. Okay. There we go. So now I had to hit the tab key. So now when I click off of it and I click back on, you really don't notice any difference until you look at the properties panel. You can see that there is a link. And likewise, if we were to save this, and I'll go ahead and save it, and I will preview it in the browser. Firefox. When we come down here, the only way you will notice a difference is that you'll notice that you get the little finger when you hover over it. And if I click on there, really right now, because I don't use my email on my computer, I don't get anything. But when you hover over it, you see the little finger there. So instead of the email, let's try something different. Let me go ahead and let's go to Google Maps. So I'm going to go back to let's go back to that Cerritos address. Okay. Now there should be, and I haven't done this in a while, so typically there's a way in Google that you can abbreviate these links. You don't have to put in the whole thing here. But I'm going to go ahead and click inside the link. And I'm going to say select all, and I'm going to copy it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and I'll select her image. And I'm going to come back here and I'll, again, select all in there. And I'm going to replace it with the one that I just created. And because it's an external link, I'm going to go ahead. Okay. What I want to do, let's go ahead and hit tab. There we go. So it's not allowing me. That's weird. But I want to. Okay, well, let's test it and see what we get here. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And we'll test it in the browser. Why it's not providing a target for me, I don't know. So I'm going to come back here. Let's go to File. It's real-time preview in Firefox. Let's come down here. Let's find your lane. Let's go ahead and click. Notice I get the little finger and I click. Oh, open site in a new window. Let's do that. And there we go. So now what it's doing is it did link it to Cerrito. So there we go. It did work. Okay, we go back here. Because this has not been published, it won't allow you to do that. But normally you should be able to open it in a brand new window. So that's what I wanted to do instead. But you know, it did work. Okay, so that's to an external link that we have going here. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create anchor tags, which are links to within a single page. So anytime you see a link that says go to the top or go to the bottom or go to a specific area in a page, and that's even in I don't know how many of you created single page websites in MobiRise for your final project, for this project, which by the way, would like to be done by the end of the week. That's all they're doing there, is they're linking to within the page itself. But you need to create what are called anchor tags. So one of the first things that we have to do is we have to go back to create a top in here. We need to create a tag for that. So what we're going to do, an ID, in fact. IDs can only be on one page at a time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come back in here. And let's see, I've already done some of it, so I'm going across here. We already did the image, we already did the others, I did that one, so I'm targeting the page. So yeah, so now what I want to do is I'm going to go back to the template, and I'm going to click in here, okay? So here's my div, and I'm going to make sure that in here I want the row, the entire row to be selected here. So I want navbar row. So this should work here, provided I've selected the right one. So, no, I have to go up a couple. I'm going to go within the container. I want the entire row to be selected, that top row. So I need to go up a few steps. Now, if I hit Command T, come on, select that, hit Command T, there we go. You'll notice that we have div class row, but before class, what we're going to do is what we're going to add what is called an ID. And what I want is ID equals, make sure that I have the equal sign. And then I want top. POP. And that's going to be the name of our ID, so that anytime we add a link that says go to hashtag or Octothorpe top, it will go to the top of the page. Okay. So we can go ahead and we're done with that. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure that that's saved. Make sure that all the pages are updated and saved. There we go. I can close that. Now let's go back to and open up our events page. So that's what I want, the events page. And is it already open? I don't know. I'm going to make sure that it is though. So here's our events page. So now what we're gonna do is we need to create some links that go in here. So if I select this table here, I can insert a paragraph directly after that. So instead of the article, let's go ahead and select from here. I'm going to go ahead and select the table. Okay. So the whole table is selected, and probably I should select the section as well. Okay. And I want to insert a paragraph after that. So I can either do that in code view, which might be actually a little bit easier, to be quite honest. Okay, so there's that whole page, or I could go ahead and let's go ahead and set insert. And what I want to do is I want to insert, where is it, HTML, and I want to insert paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a paragraph. And I want it after that section tag. Okay. And if I scroll down here, you'll notice it says this is the content for the new paragraph tag. So I'm going to highlight that. And I'm going to type in there, go to top. Okay. Go to top. Okay, now we need to style this, which it seems kind of silly, but I'm going to go ahead but we do need to do that. So I'll bring up the CSS Designer. Let's pull this out a little bit. See all these here. Okay, and we need to create a new class for this, and this is going to be center. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put period, because it is a class, CPR. Okay. Okay, so I've added that class. Now I have to come over here and add the class to my selector here. So I want to make sure that green styles is selected. I'm going to go ahead and add it. This is going to be .cpr for center. And really what we want, the bulk of this is going to be, that we want it to be, I don't want to say show set, but we want the text. So let's select text. We want it to be centered. Now if I scroll down here, you can see that it is centered. It's a little bit close to the top. So maybe what I need to do for this particular one is that, and I don't remember where the book wants us to do that or not, but maybe under margins, we could go ahead and we could add a little bit to the top here, maybe 20 pixels, and the same to the bottom. Okay, so let's go back down here, see what we have. There, see how that's been added. And then, okay. And now what I can do is I can do the same, and just, if I wanted to, I could copy that whole, let's come down here, make sure that I have it. Let's select that paragraph there with center. So I could copy this whole paragraph here with that class attached to it, and I'll copy it. And then I'm going to go to the bottom of the next one here. So let's go ahead here. So I want to make sure that this table is selected, that section. I don't want that section selected. I want the bottom section down here. Let's go ahead and after that. Maybe both of those are in the same section. I've forgotten. I thought they were in independent sections. So after that table, no, it isn't. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, after that section tag, I'll go ahead and I'll paste that. So we should have another go to top there as well. So there we go. There's our go to top here. So let's go ahead and save that. And now that we've added our anchor tag, we can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and preview it once it's saved. File. Let's go ahead and preview in Firefox. Some files need to be accurately. I'll go ahead and save because I'm not sure what I changed. Oh, because I know what I didn't do. I didn't save the CSS. So all of that needs to be saved. So that's quite possible. This won't work. So let's scroll down. And here's where it says go to top. And you'll notice that none of that was saved. So I need to go back and fix that. So let me go back and fix that. See if we have that. I know why, because I didn't add the tag to that. Interesting. I'm talking here and I'm not thinking. It didn't go anywhere. So what I need to do is I need to click in here. I need to highlight this. And where we have the link, now I created that ID tag so that because this is internal to the page, I just need to add an octothorpe and put in top, T-O-P, okay? And I don't want to target it to a new page. And I'll do that to the bottom as well, the one at the bottom. I'll highlight that. Yeah, forgot, that's one of the most important parts. Octothorpe and then top, okay? And let's go ahead and save the page. And then I'll go ahead and preview the page once it's saved. And this should be ready to go. There we go, Firefox. We come down here. Now let's scroll to the bottom. And you can do the same thing. You can link things to the bottom. You can link things to specific regions. And that's what we'll be doing when we go ahead. We're going to create an anchor tag for the bottom table so that when we create the drop-down menu and you click on that, it will jump directly to that table. But when I click here, notice it goes to the top now. And as I mentioned, for those of you who are working, finishing up your MobiRise, I hope you're finishing up your MobiRise. Question, well, hold on, Dan, that when you're using MobiRise, that it will automatically, when you link the page, within that page, it will automatically put in that. You don't need to put in blank. Can you type in blank? If you do type in blank, it would have to be inside the code view. So to do that, and this is where you have to put it, and it has to be a target. So if we go back and we to the map, yes, you can. So if I go back to the map, let's go back in here. Yeah, so let me go back to that. I have to go back to that page. Wrong page. Let's go back to her. Contact us. Let's see if I still have. I don't want events. I want contact us. There we go. So here's that link to her. And so to avoid me screwing anything up, I think in Meridian, let's click that. And I think I had, no, that was that a mail too? It was. No, that should be, let me highlight all of this. No, it is target blank. So that's what you need. So right after before the end of the closing tag for that href, that's what this A is here. What you want to do is just simply put in target equals double quotes underscore blank, double quotes, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in here, I'm going to copy that. So let's copy that. And then I'm going to go back here. And right here, maps place, Doritos. I'm going to put it in. I've got to make sure that this is right. This is going to be before the class. I got to make sure that this is in the right location. And at the moment, let's select that. Here's the href. So it should be before the image. I'm going to paste that there, target. And hopefully I put it in the right location here. So I'm going to save this. But that's what it needs to be. Okay, so let me go ahead and test this. Let's go to saved it. Let's go to File. Let's go to real-time preview in Firefox. And let's bring this down here. And let's go ahead and click here and see what we get. And again, it did work. Okay. So it jumped to a brand new tab here. But because this is incorrect, open site and new window. Yeah. That's what we wanted. And that's what we did. And notice that it is in a brand new window here. So that should work. Okay, I think that answers your question. Yes, you can put it in yourself. But again, the code has to be correct. It has to be target equals double quotes underscore blank double quotes. And that goes right after the source of that, before the end of the href. So that should be href. Yeah, that should be the right location. But it is in front of an image, so that's where I'm getting it. It's still working, is it? No, it's not. I put it in the wrong location. See that? It's showing up in the text here, so that's not right. So I'm going to highlight that. And I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to put it before, right here, before the end of that href. Let's see if that's the right location. No, that's not right either. So let me undo that. Yeah, for images, it has to be put in the right location. Now, for her, let's go ahead and select her again. And maybe it will pop up that we have and see where it's supposed to go. We have the title, but we don't have. No, that's going to have to be for next time because I'm not putting it in the right location. And it is important that it go in the right location, but that's where it's supposed to go. So we've got a href, and we have the source, which is the image, and it should go maybe before the class. Let's try that. And that might be the right location. The class goes after that float right. Because it's not showing up in here. So that seems correct. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I'll test it again to make sure that it's working. So let's test preview in real-time browser. Bring it down here. Now let's try it again. Yeah, we want to go ahead and open a new tab. And I did. So I'm still getting an error message, and I think that's because we haven't published this. And it could be that, let me try a different browser and see what we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and try this Safari, for example, real-time preview in Safari, and see what I get from her. Okay, that's why it's not working. So Firefox doesn't like Google Maps. Okay, so let's go ahead and click here. Whoops. And Safari doesn't like that either. So I don't think I'm doing it right. Or okay. Well, let me try Google, since that might be an option here. So we have, we have browser issues here. So this should be all saved. Let's come back here. Save this. Let's try Google, Google Chrome instead. Since this is to a Google map, it should work. Now let's try and click on her again and see what we got. Doesn't like it. So I did something wrong. So that's for next time. I'll work on that. And again, the other thing that I want to work on is some of these links are so long that Google usually has a way of condensing them into an abbreviated link that you can apply instead of that long one. So we'll work on that. So next time, that's pretty much it for today. We'll try to fix that for the image and to get it to open up in a new tab with an external link. And then what we will do is we're going to add to the finished version, we're going to add the drop-down menu to events, and that will take us the whole hour to do that. And that's easy to screw up, easy to screw up. Okay. But yes, any questions about links today? Again, let me just a quick review. There's relative or absolute links. Usually the relative links are the internal ones that go to pages inside your root folder. Absolute links are external links that go someplace that lie outside your root folder. And those have to be inserted differently. You can just put a relative link to a path to that particular page. But absolute links, you need the whole thing, HTTP : or HTTPS : // whatever the URL is. Okay. If it is an absolute link and it's a link to an external page, then you generally want to make sure that you target a blank so that it opens up in a brand new tab so that it doesn't confuse the end user. We also covered email links and how you do that. It's just simply mail to : and the link tab, and then you put in the email address, and that can be to an image or it can be to text, either one. What we didn't do today, though, is they created a link in the text to create a home link to the Green Start, and we'd have to do that inside the I'm just drawing a blank here. Inside the template, and then update everything. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. So Dan, you have a question regarding MobiRise? Let me go ahead and let you share or talk and see who's, so Dan, yeah, go ahead. You have a question about MobiRise?
Yeah, so you just need us to do like a single page or?
Yeah, if you want multiple pages, you can, if you have that much to do, or you can do as I've done with mine, kind of a condensed version that's all a single page, but make sure that you have links to each one of those sections.
Okay.
And if you want, on Thursday, I'll show you guys how to do that. I know it's due at the end of the week, but links are easy to add in MobiRise.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm still a little like confused on MobiRise. Like it's not as intuitive as you know, Wix to me.
If you guys would prefer on Thursday for me to go over some of those things, maybe that would be best. And the next Tuesday we'll finish this up. And I'll get this this link worked out, but then we'll do the drop-down menu next week because we're ahead of schedule on lessons. So
yeah, I would really love another lesson on MobiRise because yeah, it's all
okay. Well, yeah, I'm cool with that. I need to, yeah, as long as I hear back from you guys, that's fine. Let me, before you guys leave today, I'm gonna wave and say goodbye and stop the recording, but I'm gonna go ahead and take roll. Okay, so goodbye to everybody. So this will